Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's your boy X, Nicole Reeves, James Withee. Today we're going to be talking about tattoo awards. Do they matter? And how do you get them?
How do they work?
All that shit.
Me, James, Adam, Matt, and our other coworker Sam just came back from a convention, and James had the opportunity to judge. Xavier's been a judge before. And then I've never entered anything, but I was one of like the contestants that entered a tattoo of mine.
That was on her body.
Yeah, but James recently just got the perspective of being a judge and has some thoughts on it.
Yeah, which was brand new for me. I mean, I've entered a lot of competitions and I've won a few awards, and judging it and seeing it from the other side of it kind of changed my perspective. Or actually, maybe my perspective was already changed, but it reinforced my perspective that I already had on whether or not awards matter and how the whole process works. So you hear this term all the time with award-winning artists, right? It sounds real glamorous and it sounds real fancy. I'm an award-winning artist, but what does that actually mean? Does it mean that your tattoos are better than everybody else's that hasn't won awards? In my opinion,
no.
Nah. I've seen some pretty whack tattoos win awards. I've seen some pretty good tattoos not win awards.
And I also know a lot of amazing tattooers that are afraid to enter into shows just because of like anxiety and shit like that. They just don't feel the need to compete, or they don't want to compete. But if they did compete, they would clean fucking house.
True, and I've seen that before with a very prominent tattooer that you guys both know about that's tattooed me. He stopped entering competitions in Arizona because he was sweeping competitions over and over and over, and he didn't want to create any animosity from just basically stealing that spot from local artists when he had just moved into the state repeatedly. So he just stopped entering them, and he's one of the best tattooers in Arizona right now.
And so, probably in the world.
In the world, actually, yeah. So not all tattooers that are entering competitions are the best ones in that area. Sometimes people just get sick of winning awards and they just don't do it anymore because it doesn't fucking matter to them.
Sometimes it's just the best fool that was there that weekend, shit. Or it could be. It also can be political too, like where the judges know the work, like they see the work and they're like, oh, I know who did that fucking tattoo, and they might want to help out one of their homies.
Let's start more generally. Let's start more generally, and let's talk about where awards get won at.
Okay. All right, so awards get won at tattoo conventions. Tattoo conventions happen in every state in America, all over the world, all over the country. You can find a tattoo convention every month of the year. Typically, there are different categories at tattoo conventions that you can enter in based on size, style, placement, whether it's male or female, like the person entering, whether it's on a male or female. And there's usually a panel of judges that judges these tattoos. It could either be like a
on site at the convention.
On site, on stage at the convention. You go on stage. They look at your tattoo. They either have a clipboard with some criteria to fill out, or there's a more unorthodox method of judging where it's kind of like, let me give you your fucking banana sticker, and you get as many banana stickers and you get first place, essentially, from all the judges. You get this, you get this, you get this. Whoever has the most of them wins. I've done both of those. I've won both versions of that personally as a tattooer with work that I've put in. James has also won. Was it clipboard or was it fucking this new shit that's going around for judging?
Hard for me to say. I don't remember. A lot of the awards that I won were done. Some of the awards that I won were Tattoo of the Day awards, and I was so exhausted from tattooing all day.
You weren't even up there when you...
That I didn't even really...
Yeah,
I wasn't even watching when they were judging or whatever. I just heard my name get called and went up there and collected my shit. And for anybody that doesn't know, Tattoo of the Day is a tattoo that is done at the convention fresh all in one day, and then usually at the end of a tattoo expo,
there's
they'll have best of show, which was the best tattoo that was done over the course of the entire 3 days of the expo. And usually it's a multiple session piece that somebody will
did Friday, Saturday,
where they worked
Friday,
on it
Saturday, Sunday,
3 consecutive days, and then entered a very large piece at the end.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not. Sometimes best of show is something that was just done over the course of one day, but a lot of times it is something that was done over the course of consecutive days. So where was I going with that?
I was asking you about the judging format. If you knew which version.
Yeah, sometimes I haven't observed it as far as what I've experienced winning awards. But I think that in general, you just have like 3 judges up there, and they'll look at the tattoos, scrutinizing them pretty carefully, sometimes hastily though, and they just choose whatever they think is the best based on criteria that are either provided to them by the expo or
whatever they think is coolest.
Just whatever they think is the coolest subjectively.
Yeah.
So sometimes there's guidelines, sometimes there's not. As far as non-tattoo of the day or best of show awards, those ones are pretty much always going to be fully healed tattoos that fit into a specific category.
Not always. I've seen this shit
I've seen
happen
expos
now,
too where it doesn't need to be healed.
That shit shocked me the first time I saw it. I'm like, really?
But it's
y'all
rare.
letting fresh shit into
It's in the
competitions?
minority, but it is strange to let the fresh
It's
fresh
very
shit into
weird.
the competitions. Yeah, I don't personally like it, but it does happen once in a while. I'm just saying the majority it needs to be fully healed.
I think it should be across the board. I mean, the first time I saw that shit, it shook me up. I was like, I didn't even know I could enter in the black and gray competition with some shit that I finished today. Typically, that shit's unacceptable because you don't know how that shit's going to heal, if it's going to have fallout, if it's going to have scarring, or fucking, if there's enough saturation or not. And something can look really good in the moment and without, like, careful scrutinization and then fucking heal like shit.
Yeah, and we'll touch more on that later in terms of like fresh and healed shit being entered into competitions that maybe shouldn't be, or people trying to bend the rules. I think I want to touch on that later. But as far as like bringing it back to the general concept of awards, why do you think tattooers or clients care about it?
All right, so let's do the tattooer side of it first. For tattooers, you get essentially bragging rights and accolades that act as credentials for your career that can justify a price increase for what you charge for tattooing, as well as bring you notoriety and fame for the work that you do. And I'm going to use you as an example. I think the first time I saw it like really bring you acclaim was when we were at Grand Canyon, and you sweeped Friday and Saturday best tattoo of the day. When we got there, I think it was arguable that only a small amount of people that was there knew who you were. By the end of that weekend, you had people coming up to you in packs like, damn, who is this fool? I need to meet him. Yeah. So it can be very good for your career, to win these awards in order to network, meet the right people,
especially
and get your
amongst
name out there,
tattooers,
and to get your shop's name out there. I think it's very important for like newer shops to be on the scene, introducing, shaking hands, networking with people, networking with the clients.
We're here.
We're here, and we're good at what we do. And these awards are a validation of what we do. Now, on the flip side of that, with clients, it just looks very good to be like, oh, I want to get tattooed by someone who has won awards. I can see the work is really good. Other people also see that the work is really good. So these people are validated not just through other clients and work that they've done, but they're validated through their peers as well. So it just makes it more attractive to want to get tattooed by somebody.
Point. The peer thing is a good point.
Yeah. It's an important thing. I mean, for me, like, the awards are cool and all, but like things I care about most in the tattoo industry is like the respect from like people who are around me. When people come up to me and are like stoked on what I do, that means way more than winning a fucking award. It makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
So especially if it's somebody that I already respect in the industry and like they're acknowledging me and seeing me as an equal and a peer and not just someone who's like below them. Yeah. So like it's very it's a very good feeling. Yeah. So that's essentially the client versus fucking tattooer motivation for tattoo awards, at least in my opinion. I don't know if there's more you want to add.
I agree with everything you just said. I feel like that's a good way of summing it up. What were you about to say, Nicole?
I was gonna say a couple things. I mean, I feel like the tattoo of the day competitions, as well as like overall tattoo of the convention and like artist of the convention, I feel like those are in a different tier from
regular
the rest
awards
of the awards on healed pieces.
Why is that?
I feel like the tattoo of the day is a much bigger deal personally. Like
why?
I don't know. I feel like people enter their healed stuff. They can enter pieces they like over and over and over and over again and like rack up a bunch of awards at a bunch of different shows
Good
for
point.
the same piece. And I mean, I've never entered anything into any competition. I mean, I feel like maybe if I won one award, I wouldn't really care. But Tattoo of the Day, if I was ever eligible for it at a convention, I would always enter it because I mean that one is a much bigger deal, I feel like. And also I feel like if you do win an award and you know post about it on Instagram or whatever, I think that's really cool, but I don't think that any clients are ever looking necessarily for like an award-winning artist. Like I don't think
I think
anybody
some might.
nobody's ever asked me like, have you ever run any awards?
I've
Like,
heard people brag on their artists though about them being
That they
award-winning. Yeah, so I don't know.
It's a flex for them.
It is a
No, for
flex,
sure.
yeah.
I don't
for a
know.
client, if they get a tattoo,
they might
from
not
you,
be looking for it, but it's like cherry on the
cool
top.
thing.
Like,
Exactly,
damn,
yeah.
this fool's got it.
Nah, that's a good point.
But as onto your point with the Tattoo of the Day, I think another reason why it's a bigger deal is because it's harder to pull off.
oh yeah,
It's
for
very
sure.
difficult to, be organized enough. Number one, to put together a design that's good enough for it
Under
and then
pressure.
under pressure, and execute it in the allotted time frame.
In that environment, because conventions are a little stressful.
And it's
Yeah,
hard.
explain
It's
that a
hard.
little bit more,
It's hard
actually.
to finish it in that amount of time. I've tried numerous times to do things I thought were cool enough, and I just couldn't finish them in the amount of time that I needed in order to enter into Tattoo of the Day. I've won
You gotta
Tattoo
be
of the
good
Day.
and you gotta be fast.
You gotta be fast. So it's fucking hard to do. And then on top of that, you're competing against other fools that are equally or as better, good and as fast.
And
as you.
everybody's going for the jugular.
Everyone's going for it. So you're in a Shark Tank full of fucking killers. And if you pull that off, it's kind of a big fucking deal.
yeah,
dude.
Tattoo of the Day is that
And
one's
you
super
spent money to
legit.
be there.
Yeah.
Everybody else spent money to be there as artists, and you got to plan out the logistics of it. You have to execute it properly. You're taking minimal breaks. You have basically your nose is like right in the tattoo the entire expo. You don't have any time to
There's minimal room for
walk
error
around.
as
There's
far
no
as your
room
time.
for error. You have to really manage your time properly,
Yeah.
and you have to execute it properly. And at the end of the day, you have to bang out the best and biggest piece that you possibly can. Maybe not the biggest every time, but it's better if you're banging out a big, very high quality piece during that process. And then you have to enter it in the end. And it's about planning, execution, stamina, and being able to knock out a very good piece under pressure. So it's quite impressive, especially with the consideration that there are other people at the expo that are actively trying to beat you for that award.
Right, who
And
are
that's
on
what's in
your
their
skill
mind.
level or better.
That's what's in their mind while they're banging out their tattoo. They're
100%.
Because every time I've entered something in Tattoo of the Day, it wasn't happenstance. I planned on entering.
100%.
Yeah, I
You were
feel
like,
like
this is what I'm doing today.
That's
This is
something
what
you
I'm
have to
doing
have
You
to
woke
today.
up
I
with
am
that
trying-
stencil ready, and
I
this is
woke
what
up
I'm
trying
doing.
to
That's
win
not
that
something you
award.
could do with a walk up.
No.
I mean, you could try, but
But you probably won't
I would
finish.
have if
You probably won't finish your piece.
Unless they walk up
Yeah.
right in the beginning.
I had
But
somebody
now
walk
you have
up.
to design,
That's my point.
Yeah.
Design, put the stencil
Now
on,
you're
let
at a
it dry.
disadvantage. You have a handicap.
You're already an hour behind at
So
that
it's still
point.
possible, but
Yeah.
it's very, very difficult.
I would have entered that dog if I didn't finish it at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
because she came really, really late. And honestly, not that I ever thought it would win. I just think it's funny.
Just to
And
show
I think, yeah, it's actually,
That was
it's
a good
really
tattoo.
cool. It's
When-
really cool if you go to the conventions. That's a fun thing to watch Tattoo of the Day. I did that at Hell City when I entered a piece on me. And I also did it at Austin Invitational when I entered the piece that I had just got done on my leg. It's really cool to stand by the stage and look at all the fresh pieces that were done that day. That's super fucking cool.
I
getting
got
to see-
super lucky when I won. It was a Sunday. The girl had
Tattoo
booked
of the
it.
day?
Yeah, it was a Sunday for the show. I had booked the appointment that Saturday, so I had time that night to prepare. So I was ready when she got there in the morning, and I just fucking went ham and just did the best that I could do, and I won that Sunday. And arguably, I think Sunday is an easier day to win if you got the
It's
stones.
shorter.
It's shorter if you got the stones to fucking go start to finish and finish in the allotted amount of time.
I agree,
know.
but in some ways that makes it harder because now you got a really limited amount of time and you have to.
Because I feel like less people are gonna try because it's harder.
Less people are going to try.
But it's also easier because less people are trying. If you feel what I'm saying?
Less people are going to enter on Sunday typically, but to be able to, you have less time to use for Sunday.
Yeah.
So managing that time actually becomes even more complicated because you have less of it, in my opinion. Like Tattoo of the Day, and also there's the exhaustion from the entire expo already have been going on
True.
that whole weekend. So if you've been tattooing all day Friday and
partying
Saturday
at
and
night.
partying and drinking and all that shit,
Which I
and then
was.
Sunday, right? Then Sunday you come in and scoop up tattoo of the day. That's pretty hard to do if you were busy all weekend.
So you're saying I'm a
Yeah.
bad motherfucker then?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Bro, on
It's
Sunday-
pretty hard
I
to win
think
on
it's
Sundays.
easier though. I really do think like just in general.
In some ways. But
trying
in other ways
to
it's
trying
harder.
to win awards in general on the Sunday, I feel like is an easier route to go about it because less people try. I feel
True.
like less
You're
people
going up
usually
against
try.
less people, and a lot of times people that are really going hard the whole convention, that's going to be like
gonna
their more
burn
relaxing day, and they're burnt out by then.
and they're shooting for Friday and Saturday awards.
Yeah.
I was
So-
burnt out on Sunday. I was running away from the booth. I'm like, I'm not doing anything else.
Yeah, Sunday sometimes it's pretty hard to keep on tattooing when you've already been doing like 10-hour, 11-hour days.
Yeah. I
Literally.
never tattoo on Sunday. Usually.
I've done like 14-hour days at conventions before, and I'm like Sunday I'm just cooked, and I'm
Literally,
like,
yeah.
But that one I did, it was an out-of-state convention. When I'm out of state, like I'm typically all about it. Like I'm gonna do as much as I can.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to fucking get my money back.
Yeah.
You know, that's probably another thing to touch on. Was
So,
like, well, that's not.
what are
important,
what are
but-
some of the categories that people might enter for awards in a tattoo convention? Like typical categories that you might find at every expo.
typical
Style.
one? Okay, you want to go get it?
Oh well, just a couple. Like they'll base them on style. They'll do like Japanese. They'll do traditional. They'll do black and gray.
Color.
And then they'll say color. They'll say black and gray.
Best
they'll-
portrait.
Yeah, they do portrait
Portrait
often.
is a pretty typical one, yeah.
Sometimes there's like kind of funny categories, like the one.
You said typical ones. Typicals.
yeah.
Typical first, then funny after.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I can really
Best
think
back
of. Size.
piece, best
oh
front
yeah,
panel,
they'll do
best
sleeves.
sleeves.
Best overall male, best
Yeah.
overall female,
Best
like
overall
bodysuit.
female.
Mm-hmm.
And then these all range in size too. Small, medium, large.
Sometimes they have size
Sometimes,
differentiation.
yeah.
Sometimes it'll just be
Just
you know,
is what it is.
It just is what it is. Best black
True.
and gray. But typically
best
they'll have size
traditional,
variations. Yeah.
They'll do new school.
Best geometric is starting to be a thing.
Geometric,
Best
yeah.
blackwork starting to be a thing. Best anime is starting to be
The
a
last
thing.
one that I just judged was they had best watercolor and
Damn,
couple
I
other
never seen
styles
that.
like
Best watercolor.
That was a hard one to judge.
So, because
True.
like, how do you judge that? Do you judge it from like just what looks cooler, or do you judge it from like a longevity standpoint as well? Like
Both.
the
I judged it on what
like-
looks cool, what fits the style, and what is going to hold.
Yeah. So, because like that's a fucking tall order for a lot of watercolor.
Most
you
of them
know?
would have held.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So the ones that did are the ones that won.
Okay.
Wow, they were very nicely saturated, the ones that we ended up choosing.
Okay. That's cool.
So what else?
The one that my head, the SpongeBob tattoo on the side of my head one was most unusual category.
Yeah, I've seen those before.
Yeah, I've seen
Most
that.
unusual. I've actually seen categories where it was like worst tattoo, and that person gets
Yeah,
like a,
yeah,
like a
I've seen
free
those.
laser removal session or something like that.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, I've seen.
I've
that a
seen
couple
some
times.
weird ones like best dress, best dancer, best looking tattooer. I think,
What the
I think
fuck?
Gabe won best looking at fucking.
That's a strange award to have.
Ew.
I'm pretty sure he won best looking.
The fuck is that?
I personally don't think that that should be a category.
Those are just the fun throwaways, though. They're not like actually applicable to tattooing. Like it's just like best pinup.
yeah, and that's okay to have
shit, you
because,
know?
like, I mean, the trophy's gonna say it on there, so everybody
Yeah.
knows that
exactly.
That's
You
what
know
it's
what
for
it
or
is.
whatever,
It's
yeah.
just like fun, stupid shit that they threw in there. You know?
Yeah, I'm not surprised that Gabe won that because he's a good-looking dude.
Yeah.
But
So
in my opinion, it should be about the art. In my opinion, in terms of
shout out
award-winning
AZ
and shit.
Gabriel.
Yeah,
you know?
shout out Gabe. So, what do you think about whether or not awards like matter in terms of like skill level, in terms of tattoo artists? Like, does it, because somebody has a lot of awards, do you think that it means they're a better tattooer?
Not necessarily. I do know some scrubs that got some tattoo awards.
I know of
some people
someone-
that have been tattooing like 2 years that are doing not bad work. It's solid work, but it ain't like
Mind blowing.
it ain't mind blowing work. They just got lucky, and they also I think there's a lot of skill in picking the right pieces for the right shows, for the right categories at the right size. In order, there's like a formula, and some people like really figure this shit out and like break the algorithm to figure out to prove their probability of winning. You know, like I know a guy who wins portraits quite a bit, and his method, I like analyzed him. He's only got 3 years experience. His portraits are solid, but like they're not like mind blowing portraits. Not like Nico portraits or nothing like that. But the what I broke down was he's like, all right, I got a homie that I'm gonna bring with me to every show. All the portraits I'm doing are gonna be about this big, so I can fit as many as I can on his body. And I'm gonna do pop culture portraits of people that are easily recognizable.
Shit that everybody likes.
Everybody likes famous people, and I'm gonna do an acceptable quality job. That's
And I'm gonna enter all of them
and relatively
separately.
solid, and I'm gonna enter them all separately.
So what you're saying is there's a way to manipulate the whole system into winning more awards than somebody that's not doing that actively.
100%.
I feel like
100%.
a big factor too
So-
is what show are you winning them from?
I was
That's
about
what
to
I'm saying.
bring
That's
that
a
up.
huge deal.
That's what I said. It's a strategy. That's what I'm going into. So like you also got like you got more cholo shows, you got more traditional shows. Like you don't want to enter a fucking black and gray competition at a fucking traditional show.
I mean,
I did.
maybe you do.
That's where I won tattoo of the day.
yeah, but a lot
Black
of
and
those,
gray one day,
that's
color the other
true.
day.
Color realism.
In
It was
my
all
experience,
realism.
I've done press kit like 5 years in a row, and a lot of times, black and gray realism gets shit
Gets
on
no love.
for black and gray traditional, and that'll steal the fucking show.
I get that.
Versus,
One of the
like,
judges on my second one walked up to me on the color portrait that I did of like some World of Warcraft shit. And he was like, I'm a traditional tattooer and this is a traditional show. He's like, but when I looked at that tattoo, he's like, I couldn't fucking deny that it's going to have a good heel and it's the best tattoo here. So it depends. It depends on the people. I mean, that guy might have that opinion. But if there's traditional tattooers that just really think color portraits won't hold, then they might just be like, this won't hold, and I'm not picking it.
Yeah, so I mean,
So it's very subjective.
It just depends. And I was
the-
about to
the
say,
show-
like cholo shows. Like I saw Anthony Michaels. He won Best of the Day, and it seemed like a very methodically picked piece that he picked for the day to win, and it fucking won. It was like a fucking
Showing them what they want to see.
exactly. This is what I'm saying. You show the show what they want to see. It was an Aztec themed show, so he did a fucking neo traditional. Fucking jaguar piece with a fucking Aztec headdress around it. I'm like, this is fucking genius. Like you realize what to put in for the specific
your
show.
target demographic.
Yeah, what's your target demographic? What do you think they want to see?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say essentially.
You don't really know who the judges are going to be, right? Like, because
No,
you kind
you
of got
don't.
randomly picked, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that happens a
don't.
lot. And I've heard of a convention where they let a fucking piercer go up there and judge. Shit like that.
That doesn't know shit about tattooing.
Judges
Yeah.
are usually random. Sometimes the people that put on the venues themselves like to always be a judge, which I don't personally agree with. I think they should exclude themselves from it and have no bias in it at all because they're putting on the show. But some people do like to do that.
I think selection of judges at tattoo shows is an afterthought, largely.
It is.
They're not
I don't
really-
think it should be, though. I mean,
I
I
don't
feel
think
like
it should be.
I don't
no.
think so either, because a lot of people that judge aren't qualified to be judges at all in the fucking thing that they're judging.
I personally think
True.
that it would be a good idea to have people judging shows that are offered an opportunity to judge that you pre-select and tell them they can get a free booth for their fucking shop or something like that if they fucking come and judge for you. People that you know that are going to be good at critiquing art and largely
That are selected
impartial.
for a specific
They're
thing.
selected for a specific thing, and you bring them up there and say, "Hey, we'll give you a free booth if you agree to judge this show or whatever
100%.
the fuck." Right?
Because you're the best person
But
to judge it.
as somebody that's running the expo, how much does that help you? Your bottom line is what matters most.
Exactly.
To you. So
And it's hard to squeeze a buck out of these conventions a lot of times, too.
yeah, they probably have a pretty thin margin.
So,
Yeah, it's very strange being on the other side of it, judging. I think that back in the day when I really cared about awards a lot, which I really don't give a fuck anymore, but back in the day when I cared about them a lot, I used to feel pretty slighted when I would enter a tattoo that I thought should win. I've entered tattoos that I thought should win after the fact, and I've also entered tattoos that I've won with that I didn't think should win because I felt like somebody else's shit was better. So that kind of like started the whole like I don't really give a fuck about awards type of mentality as far as I go. And after I became a judge and realized how chaotic it is, it kind of reinforced that opinion. The show that I just judged this past weekend, it was kind of funny because I won't say his name, but an artist that I know got robbed on accident for his first place award. And all three judges, every one of us that was on stage agreed that his was the best tattoo. And one of the judges wrote down the winner, the first, second, and third place order wrong on the sheet.
shit. So they couldn't change that after
So they
that.
announced the winners from third place to second place to first place, and we were still kind of processing and conferring amongst ourselves the reasons why we chose those different tattoos.
So
to win
first person got third? Is that what you're saying?
First person got second.
That
and
sucks.
second place got first. And by the time we were conferring with each other of why we chose those different positions, and the judge had written it down wrong, the one that was writing it down. And by the time we realized it, the contestants were already walking off stage with the awards. So what do? Do you flag somebody down?
100% you do. Be like, hey, we made a mistake. Like, yo, you gotta fucking pass that back to the right person. You got second, fool.
They already
Sit down.
announced it. The artist is standing there. They won their
I don't
shit.
give a
Everybody's
fuck.
clapping.
I wouldn't give a fuck.
I was already being a dickhead during that show, though. So
I don't give a
I was
fuck.
like, I got to dial this back because I was really being pretty blunt about how I was judging shit. And you know me, I'm a pretty honest guy when it comes to all that stuff. I critique the fuck out of some art. But that one, even I felt like, oh, it's already gone. That's already blown away in the wind. And I'm not going to chase after that kite that's already floating off into the clouds. So that fool got robbed, and he should have got first place, and everybody agreed he should have got first place, but he ended up getting second place. And on top of that, the tattoo that should have gotten second place but got first place was very close. It was a very difficult decision to make. So we just let it ride because it was already that
was pretty
close.
close.
It was,
For me-
if it was like distinctively like, nah, that shouldn't win, then probably I would have been like, nope. But it was my first time judging. I didn't want to step out of pocket. I didn't want to make waves or whatever the fuck. People were already giving me dirty looks because, you know, I was out here giving people.
Man, it is what it is.
I was giving people lanyards and shit before I even like looked very closely at everybody else's tattoos, simply because I knew that one was gonna win.
Word. I mean, I think it is what it is, bro. Like, I've judged, I've competed, and I've won. And I know you said it changed your perspective. My perspective has never changed. Every time I lose, it makes my chip on my shoulder just that much bigger. And I'm like, I gotta go harder. I didn't do enough. I need to do better. I have to be a better tattooer. And it keeps pushing me to fucking put the iron back in the fire, beat it on a hammer 1,000 more times, fold it over 1,000 more times, and to sharpen that sword a little bit more. So
For the award, for the judge's opinion, because to me
Fuck
that shit
yeah.
don't matter.
100%.
I care.
For me, I care. I want to be the best. I want to be the best like forever, nigga. As long as I can do it, and I want to continue to be better. And every time I don't win, I take that.
But
as
being
a
better
fucking
and being
slight.
judged is better to me is two different things.
I get it because I've judged it too, but like I'm like I still didn't win. I wanted to win. I still want to win. I still got that fucking hunger. I still want to fucking do this shit. And
I'm
hungry to get better
Maybe-
at tattooing,
maybe
but I'm not
when-
hungry for awards.
I want it
that
all.
shit don't mean nothing to me.
I want it all. I want my validation, nigga. Like I came up in tattooing where there was like no black tattooers and motherfuckers would clown black people for tattooing. I want it all.
Yeah.
And when I go to conventions, I'm usually the only black dude there, maybe one or amongst two.
Yeah.
You know, when I won last year at Gila, people were like, I walked on stage, get my first place, and they were like, he did that?
Yeah.
Yeah, nigga.
A Negro?
It was me. It was me, bitch.
I understand. I could
So,
maybe
that's
relate
how
to
I
that in
feel.
terms of being like a prison tattooer that's been looked down upon by the general tattoo community or whatever. But I don't have a stamp on my forehead that says I started tattooing in prison.
Yeah.
So you know, I can understand that.
It might change one day when like my mantle's big enough and I feel like I can sit back and relax on a thankful universe like Thanos and shit.
Yeah.
But like I'm not there yet. So
I'm not saying I am.
You know?
I mean, how many awards have I won? Maybe like 7 or something. Not a lot. I mean, it's not a
That's what I'm
giant
saying.
amount.
I don't have
But I really
enough.
don't even enter shit no more because I don't give a fuck about none of that. They're all just sit in my closet. They don't really do shit.
That's
They're
fine.
just-
I want them all on my wall.
They're plaques and
at
trophies
work.
that
I want
people
'em all.
made at stores that make plaques and trophies.
That's fine.
Or you can go and get your own if you want to.
That's
If you
what's
wanted
not
to, you can go
important.
get your own shit. Print it
That's
out,
what's
you know?
not important. What's important
Is
was
the respect.
The respect and that I got it where I got it amongst the people who were there.
I'll tell you
That's what's
what.
important.
To build on that point, one of the only times that I ever felt like the shit mattered to me was when I was entered a tattoo for best a day, and I won against somebody that I really, really look up to in the tattoo community locally. And he had entered a piece that was very, very good, and I entered a piece that was pretty good, and I ended up beating him. And that right there,
Felt good.
this fool's been doing it for a long ass time. In my opinion, he's one of the top 5 in the state. Shout out Tony Olvera. Tony Olvera is really fucking good.
Damn, you beat out Tony.
Yeah, so
That's wild.
Tony had entered one, and I won first place over him on Tattoo of the Day, and his piece was very, very good. And I've been looking up to that dude for a long fucking
Yeah, he's
time.
a fucking
man.
OG. That fool's fire.
In my opinion, he's a much better tattooer than I am. But that day, I won. So that meant a lot to me in that moment because it wasn't that I thought, oh, I'm better than Tony. It was more like, okay, well, now we're peers.
Yeah.
So that was very vindicating to win that award.
100%. For me, I'll say here's the caveat to what I said about me, how bad I want to win. There was a year that I fucking entered that I did not win, where I felt I probably should have at least placed. And what I got in return, instead of winning, was I got the recognition from the community at the convention. That
does feel good.
I had never been received like that. It does feel
before.
Good
to where they're like, who the fuck is this guy? Yeah.
No, like they knew, people were coming up to me like, damn, I've been following you for years. I've been seeing your work.
Really?
Blah 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 blah. And
Yeah.
I just didn't know that like people actually knew who I was in that area. And that felt really good for the stuff that I had been doing for years to be like acknowledged by the local tattoo community.
Yeah.
So like that was the only year where I felt like it didn't matter that I didn't win because I still won. You know, I still won in the eyes of the fucking people who mattered to me, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even if you lose, sometimes people will walk up and be like, "Yo, that shit was sick."
Yeah, exactly.
That was sick as fuck. Or sometimes they'll be like, "That should have won."
Exactly.
That happened on. Was it day 3? I think it might have been day 3 at a certain expo, and somebody was like, "I feel like your shit should have won." It was some fool from the West Side that's really good that I won't say his name because I don't want to throw him on blast, but. He was like, nah, I was telling them that you should have won. And I kept fighting for that, and the other judges didn't agree or whatever the fuck. So it was cool just to have somebody that good at tattooing come up and be like, yeah, your shit should have won. Like,
yeah, you got robbed.
Yeah, you got robbed. That was the sickest one up there. But, you know, it's all subjective. But it just felt good to have somebody tell me that, you know, especially at that stage of my career.
Sometimes that feels better than the award. You'd be like, yeah, I fucking won still.
Yeah.
I'm the one.
I'm the one. Yeah.
It felt good to have a tattoo that was entered to win, like on myself. I know you've had that. Did you get first place?
Yeah, Tommy got first place. Shout out Tommy Lee Lopez. He got first place for the portrait that's on my arm. I don't know if I can really show it.
He's one of the best portrait artists in the state of Arizona.
If not the best.
Notice.
He's quite good at
You
portraits.
didn't know. Tommy Lee Tattoo on Instagram.
Yeah, Tommy.Lee.tattoo was very, very good on fucking at portraits, and this one won first place. And that one, when it comes to portraits winning awards, that one was difficult for them to decide until they saw the reference photo.
Yeah.
Because it was literally done from like a passport photo of my grandfather that was like this fucking big, and he blew it up and really
did his thing.
He murked it. He just murdered that shit. So
yeah, that fool don't miss on portraits.
Perfect
I worked
heel.
next to him for like 3 years. I've never seen that fool miss.
Yeah,
Not
perfect
once.
heel, very, very well done,
Yeah.
and that one won an award, and I felt good as the client getting that one. So definitely it gives some validation. I mean, I already like it. It's people ask me what my favorite tattoo is, and I've been tattooed by a lot of really fucking good tattooers.
World famous
tattooers that are better than Tommy, and
world famous tattooers.
Yeah, I've been tattooed by people that are better than Tommy in general. But this is my favorite one on my body because it has sentimental meaning to me as my grandfather.
Word.
And he fucking hooked that shit up and really knocked it out of the park. So
Word.
yeah. Thank you, Tommy.
I ain't got shit on me that wins, and the reason why is because I'm black.
You think that's a factor?
100%, bro. Have you ever known any black people to win tattoo awards?
I've never seen it in the
I've
history.
never seen
in
it.
the history of my whole tattoo career, 12 years, I've never seen a black client win an award.
I've
ever.
never seen it personally. I've been tattooing for 14 years.
So the reason I asked
I'm not
you,
saying that it doesn't happen, because it might have happened somewhere in the world,
maybe in ATL or some shit,
you know. But
But-
I've never fucking seen it.
the reason I asked you, because I already agree with you on the point, but the reason I asked you is because I'm leading into the question, why do you think that is?
Reason I think that is generally it's not a black or white thing. It's not a racism thing. It's just not the best canvas to show the work that you're trying to show in any fucking category. I mean, to do black and gray, the best fucking canvas is like a white pasty person. To do color, the best canvas is a white pasty person. That's the best that you're going to be able to show to have the best chance to win a fucking award. You know, and that may or may not be fair, but that's honestly just the way it is. It's just an art thing. So you know, and I do think maybe there should be a space for like best person of color tattoo.
I've heard of that.
That would be really cool to see.
Yeah,
And I think it
But
should
then
fucking
how
exist.
do you regulate person of color though? Am I a person of color? Some people would say yes. Some people would say no. I think it should be best dark skinned.
You could go there. You could go best dark skin. For
best
sure.
dark skin tattoo.
100%.
I think personally, if you have the right panel of judges, which is kind of impossible, right? But in a fucking perfect world, you would have the right panel of judges that takes that into consideration. How hard that is to tattoo something that well on somebody that has dark skin, because whether or not anybody likes to admit it in this PC world, it is more difficult to execute a very high level tattoo on somebody that has dark skin.
100%. If you don't have experience doing it, it's fucking hard as a motherfucker. And even if you do have experience doing it, it's still hard as a motherfucker.
And even if you do it perfectly,
it's still hard as a motherfucker.
Contrast matters.
100%.
There's less contrast on people that have darker skin. And particularly people that are black, they have more of a likelihood to scar a keloid.
And you have to pick your piece of subject matter extremely carefully to make sure that it has enough contrast.
It needs to be legible.
And that it has, sometimes you have to have something that's a little bit simplified than something that's super detailed that you'd be able to pull off on someone who's lighter skin, because it just won't, it won't hit the same.
It really should be a category because it's
I think
more
it should
impressive.
Especially depending on what city you're in. If there's a large prevalence of people that have dark skin in a certain city, you know, whether they're black or they're Native American or something like that, if you have a large prevalence of those people, then that should be a category to where it's like, okay, well, how well can you do this?
Best dark skin, black and gray.
Because that is a
best
skill,
dark skin fucking color tattoo.
That's a skill that a lot of people are working on behind the scenes that nobody really gets a whole lot of appreciation for in terms of their ability to navigate that fucking challenge.
100%.
Well, at the Fart Friends convention, there will be dark skin category.
I thought about this myself, and at some point in the future, I feel like that might be a route that I want to pursue, like starting a convention.
Yeah.
And I've even thought about, like, I don't know how it would be received, because I feel like there's already plenty of like ethnically motivated conventions. You have your cholo shows, traditional shows are fucking white shows. Fucking indigenous shows
that just started
but
last
there are
year.
no there are no real Afrocentric shows. I think that would be pretty tight,
That could be really cool. Yeah, but Adam and Gilbert went to the Indigenous Tattoo Fest.
Really?
It was like their first year, and then this their second year this year.
So I think it would be cool to have that. I don't think there are any fucking, and I'm not saying to make it an exclusively black event, but just like showcasing black tattooers, black clients with fucking dope tattoos on them. That would be tight.
Yeah.
Be tight to have a convention that's filled with like fucking
That'd be
people
really
of color.
cool.
Yeah, not necessarily forcing it to be that, but
exactly
building
having
it to
those
be that.
categories.
Exactly. So
like
everyone
can
still
enter.
open.
Yeah,
to
everybody
come,
can enter. It's all good. There
but like
no favoritism.
we invite all of the best African American tattooers in the country to come.
I feel like that's a good idea, and I feel like it should
be
be centered in a place where there's largely a black population. It should be in Atlanta or
be
Chicago
Atlanta,
or something
Chicago.
like that. Yeah, Detroit, something like that. Yeah.
So, I think I've had that idea for quite a while.
Yeah, I think that's probably an inevitability in terms of the tattoo industry, because I think at this point, back in the day, it was a pretty specific demographic of tattooers. It was a lot of bikers,
white biker dudes,
a lot of white biker dudes, and I feel like these days we've kind of transcended that, and it was all dudes too, right? Dudes.
Yeah, it was no women.
A key word too. There was no women in tattooing, but now we're changing shit up, and I feel like as the prevalence of women
shows would be dope too. Girl tattooer shows would be pretty sick to see. And I didn't mean to cut you off, like conventions and shit. I think that would, not to open up for like a all girl show to see who's the best girl tattooer there.
There's some seriously
there's some heavy hitters,
phenomenal women.
That's a hard one though, because
artists.
I feel like on one hand that'd be cool and maybe a lot of women would appreciate that, but on the other hand there ain't really no limitations for women in terms of tattooing and their skill level and shit. So some of them might take and this is a big assumption on my part, maybe some of them might not want to be only compared to other women because it's not really like a sport, quote unquote, that women have a disadvantage at, like it's basketball or some shit. You know what I mean? Like WNBA.
True.
I feel like a lot of women are just like, I don't really care about being the best female tattooer. I just want to fucking be the best tattooer, period. And they're fucking crushing shit. So I don't know if that really matters to a lot of female tattooers.
What do you think, Nicole? You're a girl. You got boobs.
I mean, as far as doing that for a convention, I don't really know. I mean, I also feel like, especially when I was an apprentice, like certain people around me would say that it's gonna be so much harder because you're a girl, and like it literally hasn't been. It has not been that. it hasn't been like that, but I also am not the type of person that thinks that way.
I think the industry has changed quite a bit.
It's changed, and it's like I can think of one tattooer who's been an ass to me, and there's like multiple factors, but I mean a lot of it is shit that's out of my control, like, and just him being a piece of shit. And then I can think of maybe one client that wasn't cool to me that was cool to a male coworker, but like that's literally fucking it. Like it's not bad.
I think some of my favorite tattooers nowadays are girls, dude. There's some fucking amazing ones out there.
Like I don't.
That for a predominantly women's show, instead of making it so that it's exclusively women, just build it for women the same way we're talking about building it for black people.
That's what I was meaning.
Okay, yeah, just build the show up to where they're more likely to enter.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think that'd be tight.
Like, you know, women are still like super outnumbered, but like at this point, I feel like the barriers, at least they shouldn't be there anymore. If somebody wants to get into tattooing, I don't think gender should really be a factor.
No.
And for me, I literally don't think it was at all. Honestly, and I think about this a lot, I think I would have got my ass beat way more.
Well, I'll say this.
Like, I would have got my ass beat for being a retard.
I work with a whole shop of girls,
I was a guy.
and they all have stories of, like, shit they've dealt with in their career that, like, made it tough for them because they were girls, dude. You know, dealing with creeper clients or dealing with creeper tattooers that they worked with. So you just came up around like really good
with decent people, yeah.
You know,
and like
I did make her draw dicks all day on the first day of her apprenticeship, though.
I mean,
that's true.
I did do that.
But you're a good person.
You're
an asshole. But
why
do
you think I did that, Nicole? Let's let her tell it.
What? Why did you do that?
Yeah.
Just to see like how sensitive I was, I think.
Pretty much.
Just see if I would have an issue with that.
It wasn't because she was a chick. It was also because she's queer, and I was like, is she gonna be too sensitive to like handle all the politically incorrect shit that I say? Is she gonna fucking wilt with all that fucking craziness like flying around as far as like the verbiage that I use? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just talk however the fuck I want to talk. Everybody can get it, whether they're male, female, black, fucking Asian, Mexican.
Rated E for everyone.
We all talk shit. Yeah, it's EBK. Everybody killer. That's what it is. So I just had to make sure that she wasn't gonna be a little pussy about it, and I feel like
I'm definitely not.
She definitely wasn't a pussy when it comes to drawing dicks.
No.
She drew very good ones, so that's why she's here. But back to the awards.
We got anything else we need to touch on that?
Well, I was about to talk about, is there a certain point that, do you think that, well, I guess you already touched on it earlier in terms of
I feel like Xavier's...
Oh, yeah, we want to go into the whole thing of whether things could get political.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think they very well
like
can.
If you know.
Yeah, 100%. They very well can.
They can.
That's why and when I say political, what I mean by that is that if you are very well known in the industry and people know your work or you've already posted it, things of that nature, someone who's at this show might recognize the work and might either favor it or have a bias toward not favoring it based on who did the work. So this is kind of an unspoken thing in the industry, but it does happen where people do help their friends get awards or
I'm not gonna
prevent their enemies from getting awards.
There's some people I don't like because I think they're shitty people, and if I recognize their work on stage, I'd be like, oh, that kind of sucks.
Exactly.
Because they're pieces of shit.
So I have a strategy.
I think I would.
I'm extremely
I'm
objective.
not gonna lie.
Not everyone's like that. And like,
not everybody is. No.
I talked to
best tattoo wins when I'm judging.
There's another tattooer who I confide in quite a bit, who's older than me, who I respect, who wins quite a few awards. And I asked him one day, I'm like, dude, I've been trying for years. I just can't win. This is before I won anything. And I'm like, how do you do it? Because every year I saw him just clean house, 6-7 awards a show. Easy, light work. And he sat me down and he talked to me about his process. But one of the things that he told me was, don't post the shit that you're going to enter. Don't stand by the people that you're going to enter when you go to the show.
Just do it anonymously.
Don't be showing the shit off before it gets entered. Don't be standing next to the client. Don't be fucking walking around with that shit. They need to be on their own, doing their own fucking thing. Like, they don't fucking know you. In case it is biased. If it is biased, and sometimes you're gonna get
sage advice,
and sometimes you're gonna get fucking robbed, and that's just the way it goes. And you gotta eat that. And it is what it is. Sometimes you know you're gonna fucking win, and you're just not gonna fucking win. but you can improve your chances by doing those things. And then other things, his everyday strategy shit, which was like, be prepared, have your stencil ready to go, sit down, be ready to work, use your time wisely, fucking grind it out. You know, if you're doing shit that's fucking, you know, you're entering ahead of time, make sure it's fucking perfect. Don't enter anything that has any holidays, anything that healed bad, anything that healed rough. You make sure that shit is absolutely perfect before you enter it in a show. And if you're not willing to do that work, you know, beforehand, it's not worth entering. So like, he gave me his really good advice, and he was fucking right, dude. Like, when I enter now, my clients aren't hanging around with me in a little pack, and I don't follow them up to the fucking stage and shit. I just let them do their fucking thing, and if I win, I fucking win, and if I don't,
Same
I
here,
don't.
Yeah. If people enter it, then it is what it is. Just let the chips fall where they may.
Exactly. I'm standing in my fucking booth, and if I win, I win. If I do want to come up and watch, I'm gonna come and watch. My clients are over here. I'm over here. I'm not hanging out with them until after they've already been judged. After they've been judged, then I'll be like, all right, I'm kicking it now. But until that point, we don't know each other.
Yeah.
So, because I just don't want to have to deal with it if it's biased, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You know, another thing that I just thought of right now in terms of what's worth being discussed is like whether or not something's likely to win an award, and what might stop it from winning an award. And one thing that I've experienced in the past was I've done a very well executed tattoo that I entered to try to win an award, and I didn't win, and I felt like I was robbed. And the reason why later that I realized in hindsight was because it was a very hackneyed and overdone subject matter. So if you're trying to win awards and you're a tattooer out there, you're very unlikely to win them with tattoos that other people have already seen before. So if like you're a realism artist, for instance,
enter a lion portrait.
You enter a lion portrait.
Like I've done like a bunch of times.
If you enter a lion.
Yeah, even if it's really well done, unless it's like just absolutely undeniably better executed than any of the other tattoos up there. Let's say there's two tattoos that are equally well executed, but one of them's a fucking lion.
And one's way more creatively done.
And the other one is way more creative conceptually. The conceptually creative one is going to win.
That was another thing that he told me too. He was like, you just enter the same shit.
Show them something they haven't seen before.
He told me that fucking
Gladiator.
He told me that something that someone drew out of their brain is always gonna trump some realism shit most of the time, just because of the creative.
And
factor.
tattooers recognize that. The people that are on the stage, a lot of times, them judges, they're gonna know that, and they've seen a lot of them tattoos before.
They don't care if it's technically good.
They don't take care if it's technically good. If it's the same shit they've seen over and over and over, then they're gonna be like, this is fucking old. It's boring. It's I've already seen this. My eyes they're numb to it at this point. I've already done that.
So that was something I had. That was a hard pill for me to swallow too, because like I'm a fucking realism dude. I'm like, damn.
And when you first start getting good at realism, you're doing a lot of shit that's commonly done.
Exactly, and you're like, damn, I know I crushed the
Same
fuck
thing
out
applies
of this
to the
fucking
traditional though. Same thing applies to traditional. If you're doing some shit that's like a dagger through a wolf's head, if that is equally as good as something that's really, really conceptually original, if you match those up together and the execution on both,
you're gonna pick the other one every time.
You're gonna pick the one that's original that I've never seen before and it's cool as fuck.
100%.
That's what I'm picking as the judge.
100%.
So word to the wise on that one. If you're trying to win awards, try to come original with it. 311 shout out. All right, cut.